3 in the morning. The shelling has stopped. And somewhere between the trenches, something is moving low to the ground. Not a soldier, not a rat, a dog. It's searching for something. And the wounded man lying 50 yards from the nearest trench is praying it finds him. During World War I, during the Great War, dogs became one of the most unlikely and most important assets on the Western Front. How did that happen? How did tens of thousands of ordinary dogs, pets, strays, working animals, end up in the most devastating war the world had ever seen? The answer begins with a simple, brutal problem. Communication on the battlefield was unreliable. Telephone lines were shredded by artillery. Human runners were easy targets. Pigeons could carry messages one way, but they couldn't come back to the same trench. Dogs, though. Dogs could be trained to run between two handlers. They were fast, they were low to the ground, and they were far harder to hit than a man standing upright. According to military historians, France and Germany were among the first nations to formally train dogs for battlefield communication. Germany, by some accounts, had organized war dog programs even before the fighting began. France and Belgium followed quickly. Britain came to it later, reportedly establishing a formal war dog school in 1917, after seeing the effectiveness of dogs used by other armies. The messenger dogs were extraordinary. They were trained to run between two known positions, navigating terrain that would slow or kill a human courier. A well-trained messenger dog could cover ground in minutes that might take a runner half an hour, if the runner survived at all. But here's what makes this story harder to forget. These weren't purpose-bred military animals. According to wartime accounts, when Britain needed dogs, appeals went out, reportedly through organizations like the War Office, and possibly through public campaigns, asking civilians to donate their pets. Think about that for a moment. Families gave up their dogs. They handed over animals that had slept at the foot of a child's bed and sent them to war. Not all dogs carried messages. Some carried something more urgent. The so-called mercy dogs, or Sanitätshunde, as the Germans called them, were trained to find wounded soldiers lying in no man's land. These dogs carried medical supplies, bandages, water, sometimes brandy, strapped to their bodies. According to accounts from the period, a mercy dog would be sent out after an engagement, often at night, to search for men too badly wounded to crawl back to their own lines. When the dog found a living casualty, it would return to the handler, sometimes carrying a piece of the wounded man's uniform as proof. Stretcher bearers could then follow the dog back. How many lives did this save? The honest answer is that we cannot say with precision. Records from wartime are incomplete, but historians widely acknowledge that mercy dogs likely saved many lives, men who would have bled out alone in the dark without them. Some dogs performed even more specialized tasks. According to some accounts, dogs were used to lay telephone wire across dangerous ground, territory too exposed for a signals team to cross safely. This remains one of the more remarkable claims about war dogs, though the extent of the practice likely varied between armies and fronts. Sentry dogs served another purpose entirely. They could detect approaching enemy soldiers long before human sentries, their hearing and sense of smell providing an early warning system that no technology of the era could match. A sentry dog that stiffened or growled could mean the difference between readiness and a surprise raid. And then the war ended. The men came home, those who survived. But what happened to the dogs? This is where the story becomes painful. Quarantine laws in Britain, particularly concerns about rabies, made it enormously difficult to bring dogs back across the channel. According to some historical accounts, many dogs that survived the war were not returned home. Some accounts suggest that dogs deemed no longer useful were destroyed, though the full scale of this is difficult to verify. The men who served alongside these animals often grieved for them. Soldiers had formed bonds with their dogs that were no different from the bonds between comrades. In the chaos and horror of the Western Front, a dog offered something almost impossible to find: unconditional loyalty, warmth, a reminder of home. Decades later, the Animals in War Memorial was erected in London, a modern act of remembrance, unveiled in 2004, honoring the animals that served and died in conflicts throughout the 20th century. Its inscription reads simply, "They had no choice." Historians estimate that multiple nations deployed tens of thousands of dogs during World War I, though precise totals remain difficult to confirm across all armies involved. What we do know is that these animals changed the way war was fought. They carried messages through hell. They found the dying in the dark. They gave comfort to men who had none, and most of them never came home. The next time you see a dog asleep by a fireplace, consider that a century ago, dogs just like that one were sent into the worst fighting the world had ever known. Not because they chose to go, but because someone needed them. If stories like this matter to you, the ones that history almost forgot, then stay with us. Next time, we uncover the strangest deception operation of the entire war. And it worked. Subscribe. We uncover a forgotten story from World War I every week.